And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're taking a look at Thunderstone starter set. Now, I've had Thunderstone for several years now, and then I played it with all the different expansions that came out for it, then with Thunderstone Advance, and now this is basically Thunderstone Advance, a starter set. This is a new way to get people into it. Now, this is the first time you've ever played Thunderstone? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I did was we played it together because for me I was looking at this as an expansion. What do these cards add to the game? Melody was looking at this as, hey, first time ever to play Thunderstone. Now, you like deck building games.
Yes, sir.
What's your favorite kind of deck building game?
I think it's the superhero one.
The Marvel Legendary one?
Yeah.
Or DC deck building?
The legendary.
Yes, good. All right. Good job. But anyway, we're getting off topic. Thunderstone. Now, if you've played Thunderstone before, I apologize. I'm not here to take a look at all the new cards. We're going to look at this from the aspect of someone who's never played before. Here we go. Alright, the first thing we want to do is we want to take a look at one of the cards of the game to kind of show us a little bit about how the game works. Here's a card, Curative Draught. Now, most cards have a cost on them. So the cost of this card is in that bag, it would cost 3. Cards also have a monetary value when you use them to buy other cards. So this one actually has a monetary value of 3. While you can see Insight over here costs 4, but has no monetary value. Other cards have some other stats on them. For example, this sword here has a monetary value of 2, but it also has a 6 with a backpack there. That's strength. So for someone to use this sword, they would need a 6 strength. I should also mention that the cards also have other things on them, but that's we'll talk about that in a little bit. So you can see here that this axe has a strength of 3. Now, heroes themselves have a cost, but they also have a couple other stats on them. This is their strength, so you can see this guy would not have been able to use that sword. I just showed you, this gentleman here, the Garrison Page, would be able to use the sword. They also have a number down here in the bottom, and that's how many experience points it takes to level them up. Finally, a few of the cards have stats on them. Down here, this Radiant Orb provides a certain amount of light. So you can see this one here provides 2 light, while the card right next to it, the Rolling Sparks, also provides 2 light. Now, there are other cards in the game, monsters, but we'll take a look at monsters in a second. But let's take a look here. Each player is going to get a starting deck. This deck is made up of a torch, which provides 1 light and is worth 2 coins. So you have a couple of those. You have Thunderstone shards, which are worth 1 coin and allow players to do a couple things on them. You have a few long spears, which anyone with strength 3 can use them. But the majority of your starting deck is made up of these regulars. They have no coin value, and they have 3 strength, but they have physical attacks of 1 on them, and they'll be used in the dungeon. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to shuffle these cards together. You're then going to draw 6 of them. And then on your turn, you have 4 different options that you can do. We'll talk about the 2 kind of boring options first. One option is you can take 1 card in your hand and just get rid of it. Okay, you probably aren't going to want to do that at this point in the game, but that is always a possibility. And then discard the rest and go on. Another thing you do is called prepare. Basically, you say, oh, I really want this regular and long spear, but I don't really want any of my other cards. So you take the cards you want to keep and put them on top of your pile, discard the rest before you draw back up, which allows you to kind of fine-tune your hand. However, the 2 main actions that you will likely take the most often are either go to the village or go to the dungeon. When you go to the village, it's very simple. You simply look at the value of all the cards in your hand, add that together, and you may buy 1 card from the village. The card that you buy goes in your discard pile. In fact, every turn, all the cards go in your discard pile unless you do that prepare action. And then later on, when you need to draw cards from your deck and it runs out, you will reshuffle the cards in your deck, and so any cards that you bought, you will get later on to use. There are some cards that when you go to the village, there's a special action you can take with those. For example, if you have a disease card in your hand, when you go to the village with the curative draught, you can destroy it. Down here, the opportunist, when you go here, you can destroy a regular, a torch, or a long spear to gain 2 gold. Destroy means get rid of it permanently and then discard this card. Or you can destroy an opportunist to take 1 experience point. Now this game will give experience points many times, and you will gain them from going to the dungeon, and that doesn't provide you with some, so I threw some cubes in for us to get experience points with in this game. When you go to the village, you are also allowed to upgrade one of your people. Here, for example, I have the Cathedral Acolyte. Now, the Cathedral Acolyte is the lowest level. You can see that they are the beginning level. It has a physical attack of 1, and in the village or dungeon, they are able to destroy a disease to draw a card. If you pay 2 experience points, though, when you have one, you can get rid of the Cathedral Acolyte and go up to the next level, which is the Cathedral Priest. See, it says level 2 there at the top. There is a physical attack of 3, which is better than a physical attack of 1, and you also can destroy a card to draw a card. If you pay 3, you can upgrade to the final level, level 3, and get the Cathedral Bishop, which has a physical attack of 5, and then you can destroy 1 card to add magic attack 3 to this card. That's a pretty big deal and very useful. You can also buy these people if for some reason someone bought all the acolytes and you get to priest. You can buy them for a cost. You can see the bishop here costs 12, but likely the way that you'll get these most of the time will be by paying experience points to level up. Now the priest down here also is worth 2 victory points. The bishop is worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. Any card that shows that in the corner is worth victory points, and that's how you win the game. Most of those cards will come from going to the dungeon. Now when you go to the dungeon, there's 3 levels of the dungeon. 1, 2, 3, and then there's a dungeon pile here. When you go to the dungeon, you will fight whichever monster you want. However, to fight the monsters that are farther back, you need more light. You need 1 light to fight this one, 2 light, and 3 light on the cards that you're attacking with. If you do not have that light, for each light you're missing, the monster is +2. So for example, this monster is in the 1st rank, and you need 1 light. And this monster, if you don't have that light, instead of this monster being an attack power of 8, it's an attack power of 10. This monster is also quite difficult because it's immune to regulars. So your regular guys are not going to do anything against it. This guy here is 11. If you didn't have any light at all, he would be a 15. If you only had 1 light, he would be a 13. Now, and he will also destroy any item, one of the items that you've brought to battle with him. And then this gentleman here is just a 15. Of course, if you have no light, that would make him a 21. Hopefully you have some light when you fight him. So when you go there, let's say, for example, I am going to fight this vampiric minion. I am going to fight him with a garrison page who has a physical attack +2, who happens to, I had this card in my hand, which is a physical attack of 4, and that's 6. Now he's immune to regulars, so any regulars I have in my hand don't help. But this Wildwood Assailant gives me another +2. So now I have 8, which is enough to beat him, except I don't have any light. But never fear, I said, because I have a torch along in the battle, which provides me with the light I need. That is enough to beat him. I will take him and add him to my deck, which means during the course of the game, he's not going to be worth so much. I mean, I can use him for 2 gold when I buy things from the village, but at the end of the game, he's worth 5 victory points. And you can see that, you know, the more powerful they are, they're often worth more points. And the deck is seeded with level 1s, 2s, and 3s, so some of these guys are easier. If you go up to fight against a guy and you don't beat it, well, your turn is over, and then that guy is placed in the bottom of the deck. So sometimes you'll do that just to get rid of a harder creature. But there's all sorts of them. Some of these guys will give you diseases when you fight them in a battle. And so in a battle, he says gain 1 disease. And so you will add one of these to your deck, which when you pull these up, are attack -1. Whenever you play these cards, that's what the trophy means, as you play them in the future. Fortunately, there's different ways to get rid of these diseases from your deck. And so you will continue to go through and fight, and in your deck there's going to be one major bad guy, the Thunderstone Bear. He's in the bottom cards of the deck, and when he is beaten or gets to level 1, then the game will end, and whoever has the most victory points is the winner. You can see this guy's tough because you have to get rid of a weapon, a spell, and an item, you do as much of this as you possibly can when you go and fight him. But like I said, there's all sorts of different enemies that you will fight. And that is essentially a quick version of the game. The cards that are in the village will change. In this set, there are a few extra cards that we didn't actually put in the village. And I suppose you can add more cards from expansions and other things to also play the game. All right, Melody, what did you think of Thunderstone?
I thought it was really fun. The part where you went to the dungeon, try to fight the monsters, and try to buy people and stuff for it. At the same time, it was just so much fun trying to level up my people. Yeah,
leveling up people is a lot of fun, especially there's a lot of different things in the game. I like Thunderstone. I still like the variant I play, Thunderstone, Epic better, which you can see in other videos. But this was an interesting experience for me to play this because there's almost no extra things in this box. Even Dominion had, 25 things to start with, and you only use 10 of those. Thunderstone here, you're not using 3 of the cards. You use all the monsters, you use everything basically. And for Thunderstone, it's very simple. So for me, it was almost kind of like, well, kind of step back because how did this work? How do I work with these things? At the same time, it was very streamlined. Very easy to understand. If I wanted to teach someone Thunderstone, this is what I would use. What do you think about the artwork?
I thought it was good artwork. I had to say better than the Ascension.
All artwork is better than Ascension.
No.
Oh no? Okay. Well, anyhow, what did you think? Let's compare it to Ascension, because Ascension you fight monsters. Would you like better, Thunderstone or Ascension?
I like Thunderstone better because you had an option to fight the monsters or go to the village, unlike in Ascension where it's all in one line.
Okay. And you like...
You can level up the people.
Yeah, you really did seem to like that leveling up aspect. Now, there are some minor problems with Thunderstone if you've not played it before. Sometimes a monster comes out and no one wants to fight the monster and it seems like it takes forever. However, this game, the Thunderstone Advanced game, has that option where you basically prepare. And you can put cards in your deck, and so you can do that a few turns in a row, which can slow you down some, but can then get you that hand you want to go in there and lay the smack down on that monster. The cards in this game, if you've played Thunderstone Advanced before, they're different than the ones that you've had before, but they're very basic, and so I would not recommend this really to buy this as an expansion for Thunderstone. I mean, well, probably some people are anyway, because they need everything. I mean, that's what I would have done. But everything in here is fairly basic, but it's a good starting point. If you've never played Thunderstone before, it is a fabulous deck building game, and this is a good jumping on point. So, final thoughts?
Good game.
Good game. We say that.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.